I'm Jesse from darkstreamreviews.com, and welcome to my top 10 movies of 2014 video. Previous years, I put my top 10 movies of the year just as a written post on darkstreamreviews.com, same with video games. But this year I'm doing a video in addition to that. And this year's list was really hard to put together. The top 5, I kind of knew what I was going to put in there pretty quickly. But the bottom 5, like number 9, number 10, that was really hard because there were a few movies that I liked kind of equally. And I saw a good chunk of the new movies this year. So it's pretty difficult to narrow it down. And so at the end of the list, as always, I will have honorable mentions, movies that I still enjoyed but didn't make the top 10 list. And mentions of a couple of what I've called crap fests that I did not like at all. So yeah, and this is kind of late. It's January 5th. I was hoping to have this up by December 31st, but we're moving in February, and that's taking up kind of a lot of our time, which kind of sucks, but better late than never. So let's get to it. Number 10 is Snowpiercer, starring Chris Evans in a much smaller movie than what we're used to seeing him in now, based on a French graphic novel of the same name. The movie is basically inspired by the graphic novel. It's definitely not a direct adaptation. It's fairly different. But anyways, in the future, to try to combat global warming, man screws up again and freezes the whole world. And all of humanity is put on this train called the Snowpiercer with a perpetual motion engine. And it contains all of civilization. So from the front where the engine is where like your elite upper class is, and then going all the way down to the tail end of the train where the lower class, the poor, are. And there's even there's school, kindergarten. There's a car that's like an aquarium. It's really like all of civilization is on this train, which takes 1 full year to circle the entire planet. And yeah, everything is so cold outside that you can't live outside. So all of humanity, all life, as far as we know, is on this train. And it's a fairly dark movie, sometimes a little depressing, but always interesting, especially as Chris Evans, who starts off in the tail end of the train, working his way up through each car, eventually getting to the engine. Really interesting to see car after car how each one changes. And what is left of humanity on the train is a totalitarian one, or authoritarian one. Pretty brutal, very strict rules with harsh consequences for disobeying or rebelling. There is talk of a previous rebellion earlier on in the movie, and basically Chris Evans is a part of the next rebellion, hopefully the successful rebellion. And number 9 is The Raid 2. If you have not seen The Raid Redemption, please do. It is an amazing action film by Garth Evans, shot in Indonesia. I forget what the actor's name is. I won't pronounce it right anyway. But he is amazing, and he is back in Raid 2. Going undercover. The character Rama goes undercover in a prison, a brutal prison, to find dirty cops. That's his mission, to sniff out the dirty cops and bring them to justice. Raid 2, just like the first Raid movie, has amazing action sequences that have to be seen to be believed, but also this time there's more drama, more plot, stakes are higher, really intense. You have to see this movie to believe it, to really appreciate it. There is no other action film in recent years, other than the first Raid movie, that compares to this. There's really nothing else out there like this made in recent years at all. It is absolutely incredible, super intense. I can describe action sequences to you, or characters like Baseball Batman and Hammer Girl, but you got to see it. No words are going to do it justice. You just got to go and see it. This is planned as a trilogy. Raid 3, which I don't think will be out until 2016. I think it's coming out next year, and that will take place 2 hours before the end of Raid 2. So that's pretty cool. And Tony Jaa is listed in the cast list for that. Anyways, man, go see it. And number 8 is Lego the Movie. I knew I would like this film. I didn't see it in theaters. I ended up getting it on iTunes in HD for $9.99 on sale. I knew I'd like it. I didn't know I would love it this much. And I thought, well, you know, how do you make a story about Lego or a movie about Lego? It's probably just going to be a series of little skits, right? Put together in, 90 minutes, 10 skits crammed together. No, they actually made it about Lego, about being creative, about not always following the manuals, the instructions, and creating something new out of the bricks. And there's even like a live action sequence at the end with Will Ferrell and his son that is a part of the story. There is a central character, the construction worker that you see on the poster. It had an actual plot. It had a story with good characters and cameos by a lot of characters. Like Will Arnett plays Batman in this, who does a hilarious Batman job. I loved his arrogant portrayal of Batman. It's so funny. And there's also a few other DC characters in there as well. Han Solo and Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon make a brief appearance too. But it's not just about appearances of famous characters. I mean, it really is a good story, good characters. I absolutely loved it. A great movie. And number 7 is The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. A little hard to critique this film just because it's incomplete, right? It's Part 1. But as adaptations go, it was very well done. It actually, not only well done, but the movie actually does some stuff better than the book does. The book, as anybody who's read it will tell you, is the weakest of the 3 books. But I think the main reason it's the weakest of the 3 books is just the way it opens. I mean, there's like, I don't know, I have to count them, I guess, but I'd estimate like a good 35 pages at the beginning of just Katniss whining about how she's being used by both sides, by the rebels, by the Capitol, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's actually a struggle to get through the first 35 pages or so of the book. But after that, it does pick up and gets a lot more interesting. And what the movie does to improve on that is basically just get rid of that. You see a bit of that at the beginning of the movie, but very little. Another spot where the film improves upon the book, I felt, was in District 13 when everybody watches the first broadcast of PETA from the Capitol in their propaganda ad. In the movie, everybody's watching it and everybody reacts all at once, very negatively, of course. Whereas in the book, Katniss and Finnick are watching it alone in a room. Everybody else is seeing it too, but they're not talking about it. Katniss and Finnick keep it to themselves, hoping that nobody else has seen the broadcast, and everybody else doesn't want to tell Katniss about it because they don't want her to be upset and lose focus as the Mockingjay and all this. I thought what they did in the movie worked better with everybody seeing it all at once and reacting all at once like that. And something that was changed in the film, which probably works for the benefit of people who haven't read the book, is making President Coin not quite as unlikable as she is in the book. And I'll just leave it at that. If you haven't read the book, I'll just leave it at that. And number 6 is Big Hero 6. This movie really surprised me. When I first heard about this movie being made, I went out and grabbed up the 5-issue comic book series from 2008. I got them all for $1 each. They're worth a little more than that now because of the movie. But I wanted to read the comics before seeing the movie, and they're pretty different, which is fine. I understand why Disney made all the changes that they did, and they all work really well for the movie. The only character personalities that are pretty similar from the comics would be, I guess, Gogo Tomago and Hero. They're pretty similar to how they are in the comic, but every other character, their personalities are pretty different. And some of them even look really different too. Some are different races. Like Wasabi is black in the movie, whereas in the comic he's not. He's Japanese. But yeah, and Baymax, his role is somewhat similar as Hero's like protector, bodyguard kind of thing. But that's where the similarities end. Overall, Baymax is completely different in the comic and the movie. Really good story too. It had a good twist at the end. Maybe you saw it coming, maybe you didn't, but in either way, it was a good twist. I like what they did. It was exciting. It was action-packed. Really hope that they do make a sequel. They certainly leave the door open for a sequel. And number 5 is The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Peter Jackson's final movie on Middle-earth, at least that we know of, unless he decides to do the Silmarillion, or probably not. Anyways. He did an amazing job, considering that he took a pretty small children's book and expanded it into 3 fairly long movies, adding material from the appendices from Return of the King and his own stuff, and I don't want to say too much about it for anybody who hasn't seen it. It is the final chapter, so it ties up a bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff happens. And I really do like the way how it ends right at the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings movie. I read that's what he was going to do, and that's what he does. It ends right when Fellowship of the Ring begins, which is great. So it's all tied up really nicely. Yeah. And number 4 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It was better than the first movie. This movie really blew me away. I forget what his name is now. The guy who played Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. Man, he was amazing. And Chris Evans, his fight scenes in this just blew me away on the boat, especially. The whole sequence on the boat at the beginning was just awesome. And I can't wait to see Crossbones in the next film with his mask on. I think he's supposed to have his mask on, Crossbones, in the next one, Captain America 3, which will be Civil War. I love Crossbones. I can't remember the actor's name who played him. The only thing I didn't like was that he wasn't wearing his mask. I really wanted him to wear that mask. Just outstanding. One of the best superhero films to date. And number 3 is X-Men: Days of Future Past, the best X-Men movie to date, I think. Fairly different from the comic book story that it's based on. Not as long. Kitty Pryde is the one who goes back in time instead of Wolverine, but all the changes are for the better, I think. It was awesome also to see James McAvoy, Patrick Stewart, Michael Fassbender, and Ian McKellen all in the same movie, playing the younger and older Professor X and Magneto. That was awesome. I absolutely loved that. This was just from beginning to end. I forget his name, who played Quicksilver. He was amazing. I can't say enough good things about this movie. There wasn't anything about it I did not like at all, even just a little bit. And number 2 is Edge of Tomorrow. For 2 years in a row now, Tom Cruise has made a great science fiction film. In 2013, he made Oblivion, which was on my list for that year. And in 2014, he's made Edge of Tomorrow. Didn't do very well in North American box office. I think he did a lot better overseas. And now that it's out on Blu-ray and digital download like iTunes, Cinema Now, Ultraviolet, that kind of thing, more and more people have seen it now, which is good. I'm glad. I know quite a few people who have seen it now. Maybe some people are turned off by him still just because he's a Scientologist, which I think is kind of a lame reason not to see his movies. He knows how to make a good movie, and that's all that matters to me. He can believe whatever he wants. I don't care. Edge of Tomorrow is a great science fiction film, and it's also really funny. And if you don't like Tom Cruise, you get to watch him die a whole bunch of times. There's actually a whole sequence in there where he dies many times in pretty funny ways. So he's forced to relive the same day over and over again until he figures out how to stop the alien invasion. he becomes he gets alien blood inside of him, and he's able to just keep repeating the same day over and over again every time he dies, and help Emily Blunt. And yeah, I don't really want to say any more than that. It's a good story, good characters, good effects, good sorry, good action, good ending. It's a great film. Go see it if you have not. And my pick for #1 movie of 2014 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Not really a surprise. This took a lot of people by surprise, though. A lot of people were not familiar with the characters, with these Marvel comic book characters. I had been reading the rebooted Marvel comic series since it started a couple years ago, I guess. It's up to issue 20-something now, so it's been going for a little while now. So I was at least familiar with the characters by the time the movie came out. But it doesn't matter. A lot of people who don't normally like comic book movies, or not very much, ended up really liking this movie a lot. My wife loved it, I think, easily as much as me, maybe even more. And everything about this movie was fantastic. I've actually already talked about it in another video where I did a quick video review after coming home from seeing the movie with my wife. Go check that out if you want to. It's right here. So yeah, those are my top 10 movies of 2014. And now it's time for honorable mentions. Really quickly, these are a few movies that I also really enjoyed but didn't quite make the list. Amazing Spider-Man 2. I liked it more than the first one. I like Andrew Garfield, but it's still not quite the Spidey movie that I want. And like a lot of other people, I really wish Sony would give the movie rights back to Marvel. Godzilla. For a Hollywood Godzilla movie, this is 100 million times better than that pile of garbage from 1998. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I bought it on Blu-ray. Yeah, great monster movie. Love towards the end when Godzilla opens the other monster's head open and breathes his heat ray right down his throat there. That was awesome. Oh, The Interview. Everybody was talking about The Interview up until recently, I guess. I guess a lot of people have seen it now. Political bullcrap aside, and the really weak response by Sony of initially not releasing it, it was pretty funny. Some people don't like it. Some people thought it was really mediocre. I actually laughed quite a bit. I thought it was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. I ended up buying it on Xbox Video. Oh, Jodorowsky's Dune. Not really a movie, it's a documentary about director Alejandro Jodorowsky. If you don't know who that is, I wish you did. He's pretty amazing. It's a documentary about the movie version of Dune that he was going to do in the 70s. But the ideas that he had and what he wanted to do would have just cost way, way too much money. And it just ended up never happening. But a lot of pre-production material, like sketches and ideas and stuff like that, did survive. And so this is a whole documentary about the Dune movie that never was. It'd be cool if you ever did get a chance to actually do it, though. That'd be really awesome. I'd be very curious to see it, as I'm sure a lot of other people would be too. But yeah, really great documentary. Jodorowsky's Dune. And oh, Sharknado 2. Yeah, it's a crap movie, but it's supposed to be. I really enjoyed it. It's stupid. It's funny. I like it. And the two biggest crap fests for me that I saw were Lucy, which started off like it might be kind of cool, and then just got too ridiculous, and not even in the good way. You know, Sharknado 2, that's ridiculous in a good way for me personally. Lucy was ridiculous. It got to be ridiculous in a bad way. I'm glad we didn't see it I'm glad we didn't pay for that. We saw that for free because, yeah, we got free tickets from my wife's friend, actually, so yay. And I, Frankenstein, what a pile of crap that thing was. I don't even want to say anything else about it. Just, that was poo. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed my top 10 list video. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. if you have subscribed, thank you. And likes, comments, always really welcome. I'm Jesse from darkstormreviews.com. See ya.